Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. This is episode number 50. That feels really weird and kind of surreal to say that we've done 50 of these things. This year in 2024, we shot 30 episodes. That's 10 more than last year, which is a huge win in our books. But our episode count is not the only thing that has grown this year. Our podcast family has grown this year as well. Some of which you're going to be hearing from in this episode, in this celebration of 2024, a year in film. Each guest has one film that they are going to be talking about from this year. And joining me are, some of the most amazing and wonderful people in the world of film talk, film discussion, some of which are filmmakers themselves. So we've got quite the spread, and I'm super excited to get talking about everything that we saw in 2024, a year in film. So without further ado, guys, let's bring on the first guest.
Oh, now you tell them when it's me. Yeah, sweet. I'm Adam, and my 2024 film is KNEECAP.
KNEECAP. Interesting pick. And as you can see beside you, the Irish flag colours are here to reflect your film of choice. So, Adam, we're going to do some quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So first up, what is your favourite colour?
Grey.
What is your favourite season of the year?
Christmas. That counts. I'm not saying winter, I'm saying Christmas.
What is your favourite pizza topping?
I'm a plain guy.
Margarita. What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
Japan.
What is a name that you would not give your child?
Keith. Imagine like a baby Keith. You can't. Like.
My one was Ian. I can't do Ian. I'm sorry to anyone who's...
That's my dad's name.
It's actually... Yeah. I'm sorry, bro. I can't imagine looking at a baby and being like, Ian.
Yeah, I'm going to ring him after this and tell him.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
German.
Yeah. Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
So I can put like sweets on my foot and kick them up and catch them in my mouth.
Whoa.
I'll show you after.
Sure. What's a red flag or an ick if you have one?
Like someone thinking they're better than people, particularly at restaurants, if they treat like a server bad. That is just an instant turn off.
What is a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
The Boys.
What is your favourite performance in either a film or TV show in 2024?
Mikey Madison.
Nice.
In Anora.
What is your favourite cinema?
So up until recently, it would have been in Belfast, but since I've been in Oklahoma and my girlfriend showed me one, it's the Regal in Warren.
Wow.
It's called.
You have fully switched sides now.
I am.
What is the best seat in a cinema?
Again, for people in Belfast, G16 in the IMAX screen at Cineworld in the Odyssey. That is the best seat.
Nice. And finally, Adam, who is your favourite person to go to the cinema with?
Myself.
Yourself?
Yeah.
Nice. Great. Well, Adam, you've just announced that your film of 2024 is KNEECAP. For the people who don't know what this film is about at all, could you summarise it in a couple of words?
Yeah, so on the face of it, it looks like a musical biopic, but at its core, it's about the politicisation of the Irish language and how it's dying out, and also how the Irish Republicans have been persecuted for a number of years, and the sectarianism that's still ongoing that most people in our generation just won't know about, just put onto a big screen and done in such a fun way about the band KNEECAP.
Yeah, well, that is an intriguing premise for sure. How did you first come across the film? Did you watch it in a cinema? Did you watch it at home? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so having lived in Belfast where the KNEECAP boys are from, it was huge, advertised everywhere. So thankfully, I got the chance to watch it in the cinema there with a bunch of my friends who are very staunch Republicans. So I got to watch it in what is possibly the best environment you could watch it in. I then rewatched it in a cinema in Manchester, completely different atmosphere. People didn't really understand some of the jokes. So, yeah, two massively different experiences, but experiencing it with the people that this movie's about and the people that it's affected for so long. Perfect experience. Yeah,
it's definitely a film that seems to be tackling a lot of hefty sort of political themes. However, it does look like, to put it kind of simply, kind of a really crazy film with a lot of energy and a lot of humor as well. Could you talk a little bit about that kind of element of the film?
Yeah, so obviously, as well as the messaging, it is about KNEECAP and how they formed. The band itself is crazy. It's two friends from an estate in Belfast and then what was a school teacher that they just met on a random night out and got him geared up, for want of a better word. And then he became DJ Provo, as people know him, balaclavaed up behind the decks. And the whole film just shows how they came about. And it's such a crazy ride. All you can imagine, the drugs, the drink, and the girls, everything. And it's done in such a fun way. But what took me by surprise the most is that there is no actors playing the guys from KNEECAP. It's the three guys that became the band who are the main characters. And that just blew me away because they are fantastic, funny, it's hilarious. And obviously you've got the elements that are true and the elements that are for entertainment. And those elements that are for entertainment are just hilarious. One of, if not the funniest films of the year.
Which other films this year would you say are in contention for the funniest film of the year?
You put me on the spot.
I am indeed.
Yeah. Genuinely, now you've said that, I can't think of one that'll actually come close.
Okay.
So maybe the comedy genre needs to
amp it up a bit. Yeah, maybe. Just straight up, Adam, if you had to kind of summarize all in all, why have you picked KNEECAP over many other films this year, would you say?
So for myself personally, having lived in Belfast for 9 years, I've seen both sides of the political spectrum. I've got friends that are Protestant, friends that are Catholic. So I've seen it all. And it kind of felt like that was a mini part of my life on the screen. Obviously, I've not been impacted as much as people that are trying to fight for the Irish language. But many of my friends are from that camp. So it just was great to see that it's now being seen on a worldwide spectrum, and the fact that it got awards at Sundance was even better because it means it's spoken about more, and I don't think as many people would have seen it had it not got that international recognition. But now that it has, people are speaking about languages, not just Irish but other dying languages, and realising that we're losing parts of our society if we don't do something about it now. So that really hit home with me, having seen it for the best part of 10 years. So there's been plenty of good films in 2024, but this one is definitely one of them.
Interesting. There's people who haven't heard of the film, who haven't necessarily planned on seeing it. Why should they see the film? Why is this film important?
Well, it's important because of the messaging in itself. But musical biopics is a genre that I believe has been vastly overdone in the past few years. This is one of the very few that is completely different. So if you're a fan of the biopics, you're going to have some fantastic music, but you've also got a storyline that is fun, it's bold, it's outrageous, and it's not just, this is how we got to where we are.
Sure.
It's jam-packed with everything you could ever want from a normal movie, as well as the educational side and the messaging. So definitely one of the best, if not the best biopic I've seen in years.
Oh, that's a bold statement. That is, some really good stuff. Well, that was great to hear from you, Adam, about KNEECAP. I do want to ask you though, if you weren't talking about KNEECAP, which film from 2024 would you be talking about?
It would be one of my only two 5-star movies, Sing Sing.
Very nice. Well, hold that thought. And finally, Adam, which film of 2025 next year are you most excited for?
So I'm going to go one from the left field, just because I saw the trailer recently, and it's Novocaine.
Okay. Is this the one We Can't Feel Pain? Yes.
And
okay.
The trailer is insane.
Okay. Awesome. That's a great pick. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Cheers.
I'm Ken, so I'm going to watch it so you don't have to. And my chosen film is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Welcome, Ken. It's good to have you back on the couch.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, I'm going to throw you some quick fire questions before we get talking about Sonic 3. Ready? Okay, straight up. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Winter.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
Japan.
What's a name that you wouldn't give your child?
Hashi. I'm sorry, sir. My brain is fried. I apologize. I like Hashi. Don't answer that.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
Japanese.
Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
I do have a hidden talent, but it's not hidden.
Okay.
I have a few. I'm amazing at Marvel Rivals.
What's a red flag or an ick that you might have about someone?
An ick. When people share their content and inbox it to me. Hate that. Absolutely.
What's a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
Oh, what? Currently watching?
Oh, no, just in general over
Day of the
2024.
Jackal.
Day of the Jackal. Nice, nice. What is your favorite performance in either a TV show or a film of 2024?
Can't remember his name, but it was Elijah in the originals.
Okay, interesting. And what is your favorite cinema to go to?
View.
Any particular view?
Harrow.
View Harrow. Nice. What is the best seat in a cinema?
It'll be in the middle, closer to the back.
Nice. And last but not least, Kenken, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
Malia, my daughter.
Okay, Kenken. So your chosen film of 2024 is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Correct.
I have not had the pleasure yet.
Mm-hmm.
So in a few words, can you please do a summary of Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
So Sonic the Hedgehog 3 carries on from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This time we're introduced to characters like Shadow and another multiverse, Dr. Eggman.
Okay.
So they are trying to get revenge on Sonic and take over the world as they do.
Okay, interesting. Seems like a classic Sonic story, right?
Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Tell us a little bit about how you first watched this film. Did you watch it at a screener?
I watched that at a screen.
Nice. And what was the experience of seeing this one come to life for the first time? Yeah.
It was a great experience. I went with my family, went with the kids.
Nice.
They enjoyed. They got their tattoos, toys, played games. It was lovely.
Good stuff. So essentially, Sonic basically encompasses all kinds of generations, would you say?
All ages, all generations.
Amazing. Would you say this was a film that you were particularly excited for
Yes.
in 2024?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a big Sonic fan. Sega helped raise me.
Okay.
So there's a deep love and passion
Yep.
for Sonic.
Amazing. And obviously, it can't go overlooked. One of the big sort of new additions, I would say, to this world, specifically with Sonic the Hedgehog 3, is the addition of Keanu Reeves as Shadow. Do you want to talk a little bit about Shadow?
Amazing performance. He basically played himself.
Yep.
He was cold. He was the villain. So what was that? Keanu was amazing. He played himself. He brought all his roles, put it together, and gave us a version of John Wick that kids can take in.
Oh, interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen the film yet, but the showdown that takes place with Shadow, live up to expectations?
More than.
Okay.
It's the Dragon Ball Z film.
Oh, okay. That's a big statement.
Received. Yes.
That is a big statement. So Ken, there were, I think it's safe to say, there were quite a lot of options here with 2024 that you could have gone with. What was it about Sonic 3 that made you pick this film over all the others?
It overdid my expectations.
Okay.
It delivered on all fronts. Action, drama, comedy, and the whole London element made it a bit more relatable with a soundtrack that helped raise me.
Amazing. And just building off the idea that you were familiar with this material growing up, how did the film, if any, connect with you emotionally? Was it a huge nostalgia boost? Talk to me a little bit about that.
There was a nostalgia boost, but
Yep.
what I liked most is they changed up the story a bit
Okay.
for Shadow's origins, which made it different but also made sense, and it fit the cinematic experience.
Nice.
And the games do touch on this little girl, but there's no narrative around it. And this time they put a narrative, which again made sense. So it came together.
This is a bit of a random question, but if you could see Sonic sort of crossover or collaborate with any other fictional film or game world, what would it be?
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z. Someone's got to make that happen then, huh? To someone who hasn't seen Sonic 3, but does love a good sort of action family kind of blockbuster with a lot of spectacle, Why would you recommend this film in particular out of 2024?
Well, firstly, it's the biggest video game adaptation movie.
Yep.
It's been confirmed. So please do your research. Secondly, it's for all generations.
Yep.
One for all the family. You can go as an adult. You can take your little ones. Story is easy to digest. There's no deep research you have to do. You don't need to watch the others to know what's happening. And yeah, it's just a good all-round movie.
Is it safe to say this one is the best in the trilogy?
By far.
Okay, that's great to hear. If you weren't talking about Sonic 3, what film would you be talking about?
Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2. Okay. And finally, Ken, looking ahead to 2025, what's the film that you're most excited to see next year? Superman. Okay, well, there we have it, sir. Thank you so much. That's a wrap on Ken, guys. Okay. All right, Gaz.
What's going on?
Let's do this.
Cool. I'm Gaz from the Post Credit Scene podcast, and my chosen film of 2024 is Blink Twice.
Gaz, so happy to have you on the couch.
Thank you, bro.
Usually, you're here with one or two other of your group, but we've got you today. And you're here talking about Blink Twice. But before we get here talking about Blink Twice, I'm going to hit you with some quick fire questions. You ready?
Cool.
Straight up, guys. What is your favorite color?
Pink.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Spring.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
Jamaica.
What's a name that you wouldn't give your child?
Translucent. Oh, sorry. No, there was no joke.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
I'd say Japanese as well, you know. Yeah.
Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
I used to coach football, so I guess that's kind of a talent.
Yeah. What is a red flag or an ick that you might have?
Loads of questions in the cinema is a bit jarring, so yeah. Like, just focus on the film, please. Yeah.
Well said, man. What is a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
I won't go with anything obvious because I think I'll say Kin. It's an Irish crime drama. Good series.
Okay. What is your favorite performance in a film or TV show in 2024?
Oh, it might be Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing.
Okay.
I saw that film very recently, and it's like a proper heart puller. Yeah, it's a great film. Good film.
What's your favorite cinema to watch films at?
Shout out to Cineworld in Leicester Square.
Yes. What is the best seat in a cinema?
I don't like the middle because if I want to get out, it's like I have to get past people, and I just like my little corner on the left or right hand side.
Okay. And finally, guys, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
Oh, by myself, man.
Yeah.
Once you get used to going by.
Yeah. It's underrated, right? Yeah.
It just takes like that first time you go.
Yeah. So, guys, we have Blink Twice as your pick of 2024. I'm going to start off by saying I feel like this is somewhat of a controversial pick because I don't feel like, or I'm just assuming, it's not on a lot of people's top 10 lists of the year.
That's fair.
But it is for you.
Yeah.
So, which makes this all the more exciting.
Cool.
So for those who haven't seen Blink Twice, how would you summarize this film?
Psychological thriller, which is Zoe Kravitz's her directorial debut, which is impressive. And the film follows a sort of media mogul, Slater King, played by Channing Tatum. And he's trying to sort of reform his public image. So he goes on to sort of like a retreat, invites a couple of people, including a cocktail waitress called Frida, played by Naomi Aki. And then all from there, all hell, slowly but surely, breaks loose.
Yeah, that's right. He takes them back to his own island that he's purchased, and they get up to all sorts of stuff there, and it's a very dark film.
It's a dark film for sure, and I can see why. I actually understand like the different reasons why it may not be to everyone's taste, but
Sure.
I still appreciated the film all the same.
Yeah. How did you first watch Blink Twice? Where did you watch it?
It was at screening. Shout out to Hashi. I believe you brought me in. Yeah, I believe you did. You did actually. Yeah. He brought me into the screener. He's a good man. So
He is indeed. He is. Yeah.
Hashi. Good community in that, so yeah.
Were you a fan of Zoe Kravitz before seeing her?
Somewhat. I thought she was good in The Batman.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her Catwoman. And I think she's been good in some other films I've seen as well. But in terms of, obviously, this is a different sort of realm, innit? Directing and acting.
Stepping into the directing room, man, yeah.
Thing, so, yeah.
Yeah. And as a first-time director, do you feel like she pulled it off?
I think she pulled it off in different ways. I think through the sort of themes that she tries to portray.
Yeah.
And it's a very personal sort of story for her as a woman. And I'll never be able to sort of relate to where she's coming from. But I still appreciated the theme she tried to explore, which I guess we'll get into.
Yeah.
And from a sort of visual perspective, I think it's a beautiful looking film, which I could see where the sort of the themes again she tries to portray come through the cinematography as well, and sort of sound design and stuff. But
yeah, it's almost like this sort of psychedelic fever dream of sorts. A lot of the colors pop.
Great word for that, actually.
Yeah. Just all in all, guys, though, why have you picked Blink Twice?
This year I've really become sort of immersed in like thrillers and psychological thrillers, where I never used to. I kind of prefer them to horrors, actually. I know horrors are like, I guess, the genre people tend to love. And I've never been much of a thriller guy, but in the last year or so, I've started watching a lot more thrillers. And I really appreciated the sort of slow burning nature of the story she tries to tell. Although some of the ideas are more obvious now that I look back on it, it's more of the first time I watched it, I was kind of just in this world where, like, slowly but surely, the tension and the sort of the thriller aspects of the film come to life, which I really enjoyed. And that was done through the storytelling, which was like very patient in tandem with sort of the sound, the score, etc. So,
the film definitely has some interesting and standout performances. Which ones to you come to mind?
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. Yeah.
I was like, bro, is that you? Bro, that's dark, bro.
It is some of the most interesting stuff that he's done that I've seen from him, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people said the same thing after the screening, sort of online in terms of conversations. I didn't expect that performance from him.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the sort of charm and charisma, but you could see there was a villain in the character, which I appreciated, but he also masked it, shall I say, with sort of charisma, charm. And obviously, he's a good-looking chap as well, so I think that just helped the whole sort of situation in terms of him being this charismatic guy. So,
yeah, I think I did enjoy the performances, but I also my favorite performance from that film was Adria Arjona. I thought she was fantastic in that film for sure.
I think the three, not that they're three leads, but the three most important characters, I guess, in terms of Adria Arjona's, Naomi Aki and Channing Tatum were all really, really good.
Yeah. To someone who hasn't seen Blink Twice, why would you recommend this film to them?
If you like a slow-paced, sort of burning psychological thriller, which takes its time to get you to, like, I guess, the scary moments and the moments that have you reflecting, then this is a good film for you. The film has a twist at the end, which I understand why a lot of people don't appreciate it, but I try to put myself in the perspective of not everyone thinks the same way as me. And so although I wouldn't have necessarily written that twist, I think Zoe Kravitz was coming from the perspective of, and what her words were, is empowering women. So, and that means different things to different people. So I'm not the person to come and say what empowering is, but I could see where she was coming from. And also, it's not the ending that I expected, which I appreciate, because it could have easily been, spoilers. It could have easily gone to a certain way where Naomi Aki's character sort of not panders, but she's the victim throughout, but instead she claims back, I guess. You could argue some power. Yeah,
you could argue it's a fun little twist at the end without giving too much away.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, I remember recently seeing I think it was a Variety interview between Zoe Kravitz and Matt Reeves.
So good.
It is. Really I'm so in love with that series. It recently as well. I don't know if anyone's been watching the other like directors on directors and stuff. And yeah, she did say that this kind of, she started writing it at a certain point in her life where she was just, that the kind of subject matter was very close to her.
And it feels pertinent for like 2024, unfortunately, where a lot of sort of powerful people in a particular realm have previously or continue to take advantage of people that they can. And I think it was the themes in terms of that were very obvious and well told, for sure.
Definitely, man. And Gaz, if you weren't talking about Blink Twice, which film would you be talking about from 2024?
How many Sonics has anyone done Sonic? No, it's just you, right? I'll say Conclave.
It's a great pick.
That film is visually beautiful. It's like a political thriller. It's like a slow burner again. And Ralph Fiennes is so good.
He is really good in that.
That's Voldemort.
And finally, guys, my final question for you. Looking ahead to 2025, a lot of interesting films coming out next year. Which film to you are you most excited for?
Did everyone say Superman? because I just want
A few people. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm intrigued by it though.
Yeah.
I'm not a Superman guy, so
Okay.
controversial take. I'm gonna go with Fantastic Four. I think there's a lot of stakes on it.
Yeah. Hopefully third time's the charm.
It has a lot of stakes in it. It's got a very interesting sort of 4 leading actors, if you like, who you'd expect to be able to carry that film, not carry the film per se, but to mark their stamp on it.
Yep.
But Marvel need a big win that isn't the sort of satirical
Yeah.
sort of Deadpool and Wolverine, which was good for what it was, but like let's get to storytelling and make these characters interesting. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely, man. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate you, bro.
That was
Thank you.
awesome. Great.
Thank you for having me,
Awesome.
man.
Of course.
My name's Amy, and my chosen film for 2024 is A Real Pain.
So, Amy, I'm going to shoot you some quick fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, first up, Amy, what is your favorite color?
Green.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Autumn.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Mushrooms.
What is a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
Canada.
What is a name that you would not give your child?
Milton. My granddad wanted to call my dad it, and yeah.
Milton.
Milton.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
I'm trying to learn Swedish on Duolingo.
Ooh, why am I
Because Rebecca Ferguson is Swedish.
Okay. Do you have a hidden talent, and if so, what is it?
I can do the worm.
You
pretty
can do the
well.
worm?
Yeah, pretty
Oh my
well.
Gosh, like literally on the floor?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. You might have to show
Pass
us.
the trick.
Yeah. What is a red flag or an ick that you might have?
Just slow walking, anything, or like no rush and urgency. Just, yeah.
That's actually a great, I think you have the same ick as well. Yeah. What is a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
I really like Rivals on Disney+.
Nice. What is your favorite performance in either a film or TV show of 2024?
I really like Lady Jessica in the Water of Life scene in Dune Part 2. I think it's quite underrated, unspoken about.
Shout
There's
out to
so many good Dune Part 2 moments.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I couldn't tell that you're a Rebecca Ferguson fan. What is your favorite cinema?
Battersea Power Station, if I was to travel somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great cinema. What is the best seat in a cinema?
When I go by myself, I always go 3 in from the back, just on the back row, because then no one bothers me.
Yeah.
If I was going with someone, then more like in the middle.
Sure. And finally, Amy, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
I just like going by myself, to be honest.
Yeah. Again, very underrated. Yeah. You have chosen A Real Pain as your film of 2024.
Yes.
This is another film that I have not yet seen, but is very much on my radar. In a few words, to those people who haven't heard of the film at all, could you tell us a little bit about what the film is about?
Yeah, so it's about 2 cousins called David and Benji who decide to reconnect after the passing of their grandmother and retrace her footsteps and embrace her culture and understand their own grief by travelling to Poland, because that's where she was born and she was actually a Holocaust survivor. So it's about them going there, and they join a tour guide and a group, and they all connect and follow this journey through Poland. And then near the end of the film, Jesse and Kieran Culkin's character, David and Benji, they part ways with the group to go and find their grandmother's house and connect that way, and then come back home, and it's a very full circle ending.
By the general premise, it does seem like quite a sort of deep film, but people like Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg attached to the project, you can expect lots of moments of levity. Would that be correct?
Yeah, it's really funny. It's Kieran's character in particular. He's getting all the buzz at the moment with the award nominations, and rightly so. I think it's one of the strongest performances of the year in that supporting category, and it's really funny. And the topic, people could have done it in a preachy way, but it's not that way at all. I think it's Jesse's second film that he's directed, and he wrote it as well, and it's semi-autobiographical as well. And I think it comes across so humanely honest and down to earth and just really relatable, not necessarily in terms of their generational trauma that the characters in this film go through, but just grief in general. And all the character interactions are so humane and honest and real that it's really easy to connect to on any level of grief that people experience and the guilt that comes with that.
Definitely sounds like that's the case for sure, because a lot of people have been actually raving about it and saying how much it's affected them, but also, they've really had an enjoyable experience with the film. How did you experience the film for the first time?
I saw it at a screening a few weeks, beginning of January, and it was followed by a Q&A with Jesse, Kieran, and then also Will Sharp, who plays the tour guide on the trip from White Lotus season 2. So it was really good and really insightful. And hearing Jesse and Kieran talk, they play to their strengths in this film. They're definitely their personalities are personified in the characters and play to their strengths, but not necessarily in a stereotypical way. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg plays a similar character that he does in many other roles, but it's playing to his strength. And Kieran, I haven't actually seen Succession, but this makes me want to see it because they say there's kind of similarities there, and he's just phenomenal in it. The switch and between his personalities, the highs and the lows that he experiences, and you feel it too. Like you love him and then you hate him, and then you want to be him and then you don't want to be anywhere near him. It's really quite phenomenal.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we spoke briefly about some of the other films in 2024. There have been some real high points, there's been some real low points. You mentioned also to me that Twisters was a big favorite of yours of this year, and of course Dune Part 2. You spoke about Rebecca Ferguson. What is it about A Real Pain that over those films, why have you sort of gone for this one in particular, would you say?
I think it surprised me. I went in it knowing about the buzz around it following all the festivals this year. Yeah. So I had high hopes that I would enjoy it, but I think I didn't expect it to be so funny. I didn't expect to... I really liked the dynamic he chose between the two cousins, and I think that really sat with me, especially after the Q&A afterwards. He explained why he chose, that's Jesse, that is, the dynamic between cousins, because you often see friends, you see brothers, and cousins are kind of tied together by that grandparent figure, or those grandparents, and it's then that choice you're faced with when that grandparent becomes absent in your life, whether you decide to reconnect despite being polar opposite in personality. And I think as someone who, I absolutely adore all my cousins, but we are totally polar opposite in personality, and it kind of just left me thinking, I really hope that we continue to explore that relationship. Like, no spoilers for the film, but despite what their outcome is, I think it really stuck with me, that kind of relationship and dynamic that followed, and also just the grief, but also the funny moments. It was really funny, and I like films like that just seem real. Yeah,
no, I mean, that's really, really nice to hear you say that, because I mean, I've heard very minimal things about the film, but I do know it is kind of that mix of kind of grief but also levity. So all in all, Jesse Eisenberg, would you say, finds a really nice balance between all those varying emotions?
Definitely, the tone that he gets to create, and the on-shot location filming in Poland. Yeah. I've never been to Poland myself, but it looks so beautiful the way they follow it. You also almost feel like you're following the tour group itself, going around. There's like certain like montage scenes where they're not really saying much, but you can really feel and relate to the characters being shown all these different places around Poland. And then there is a scene in a concentration camp which is done so beautifully. I mean, I've never been to one myself, but hearing Jesse and Kieran talk about it afterwards, because Kieran also said he hadn't been to one, and that it just seemed so real. There was silence. It wasn't a spectacle. Apparently, when they filmed that scene, there were no markers on the floor. There was very limited crew, so you got to see all those characters, but also those actors experience that moment. And then as an audience, you also feel like you're experiencing it. Yeah. And I think they shoot it so beautifully. It kind of like stuck with me. The tone and the balance is great.
Yeah, that's super interesting to hear. You almost strip back the production a bit and just let the guys perform in their element, essentially. Yeah. One thing I did hear was Jesse Eisenberg casted Kieran Culkin, having not even met him, or even, I don't even know if this is right, but he hasn't even seen some of his... Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
I think that's what he said, on Graham Norton or something. I think that's what he said. Yeah. But I think that it works so well, because that is what their relationship in the film is like, these two cousins, where they're just completely opposite, and David, so Jesse's character, is jealous of the personality that Kieran's character Benji has. But then the more you watch the film and like delve into his personality, you see like that in itself is a mask. And there are so many good quotes of this film that kind of like stuck with me. Like one of them Jesse's character says is, you light up everything in a room and then you just shit on everything. And I think that lots of people know people like Benji's character, where they have this personality and this aura and this charm, and they say things without thinking, and it comes across as really charming, but then it can actually be quite hurtful, and then that in itself is just a mask for their own pain and agony. And to be jealous of that and then realise that it's nothing much to be jealous about is kind of a conflicting feeling.
Yeah, that's amazing. And did this film in any way make you appreciate your family a little more?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I saw it with my mum
Yeah.
when we went to go and see it. So, yeah, and I think I definitely recommend it to loads.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, I'm sold for sure. Amy, if you weren't talking about this film, which film from 2024 would you be talking about?
Probably Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah, as everyone probably say. But yeah, I had fun watching Challenges and Twisters. They're just they're good ones up there as well.
Amazing. And my final question to you, Amy, which film in 2025 are you most excited for?
Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
There we go. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great. That was sick.
My name is Mo.
Mohammed Ashi.
We are the Small Time Critics, and our film of 2024 is Sing Sing.
Sing Sing, indeed. What is your favorite color?
Purple.
Dark green.
Nice. What is your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Spring.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Plain margarita. It's got to be well cooked. Has to have a great undercarriage. Yeah. What about you, bro?
Cheese. Plain, yeah, whatever. But like the sauce.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Heavy on the
important.
sauce.
San
heavy on the
Marzano, yeah?
Important.
Nice.
I don't know that.
Okay.
But
What is a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
All right. Someone's already taken Japan, so I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say Mexico.
Mexico.
very like a Singapore.
Singapore. Nice. What's a name that you wouldn't give your child?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. So in Somalia, there's a name called Saharullah.
Okay.
Now, that's a very, very nice meaning name. But also, in the Somali language, it kind of like, that's a Freudian slip, kind of sounds like diarrhea.
Okay.
So it sounds like the Somali word for diarrhea.
Right.
So I would never name my daughter
Could you say it one more time for me?
Saharullah.
Okay.
Can't be that, can you?
Elon Musk. I don't know. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cool. That will do. If you could speak another language, what would it be?
I'm currently learning it right now, so it'd have to be Arabic.
Arabic.
Yeah.
No?
Spanish. Yeah.
Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
I can play racket sports with both my right hand and my left hand.
Oh, that's
and I can
incredible.
also write with my right hand and my left hand.
Oh,
Even though I'm
wow.
predominantly left-handed.
Wow. And Mo?
I kind of can do like some obscure impressions sometimes, but when the lights are on me, I crumble.
No.
I'll be honest. Listen, if we're just chilling,
Yeah.
and sometimes I might just break out into character.
What he can do, he's not giving himself justice. He's got a great singing voice.
Is it? Wow.
His falsetto is incredible.
Apparently, my full. Yeah.
What is a red flag or an ick that you might have?
Okay, is it people? Okay, no disrespect to anyone. Because I take a lot of public transport, but people that smell. That's if you smell, that's a huge issue for me. It's a complete non-starter.
Sure.
I didn't have one before, but I liked Adam's one. Like just not treating people nicely, just like, not treating wait staff nicely. And, yeah, I don't like that.
What is a TV show that the pair of you have been watching in 2024?
So it was on my top 10 TV shows of the year. Say Nothing. It's a show about the kind of troubles and the IRA and stuff like that, and basically both sides. And it doesn't really it's not kind of being like sympathetic to one side or the other. And I think it's an extremely important show for our times. So yeah, I'd say Nothing.
Slow Horses.
Slow Horses.
Yeah.
Nice. What is your favorite performance in either a TV show or a film of 2024?
So I didn't particularly like the film, but I got to give it up to the guy, Timothée Chalamet in A Complete Unknown. I thought he was fantastic. I have issues with the film,
Okay.
which I'll probably get into next year, but
Sure.
you have to give it up to his
Sure,
Robin.
sure.
It was very, very good.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Chalamet in Dune Part 2. I was about to get rowdy in here. And Mo?
Colin Farrell, Penguin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. What is your favorite cinema?
Picture House Central, specifically Screen 1. That's probably my favorite cinema. Yeah.
Nice. And Mo?
I like BFI IMAX.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like, can't go wrong.
BFI IMAX for like visual and sound experience and all of that. But Odeon Lux Leicester Square for comfortability.
Nice, very nice.
That was nice.
What is the best seat in a cinema?
It's middle, isn't it?
Middle, 2 rows back, because you don't want your neck to crane up and down. You just want to look directly into the screen.
And guys, my final question to you both: who's your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
He's contractually obligated to say his wife. I'm going to just say my friends in general. And again, I don't mind going on my own.
Okay.
That is my wife. I actually like this. I like seeing her reactions to movies and stuff, because she's not a movie buff and stuff. So, let's go watch this. It's fun.
Awesome. Hashi, Mo?
Yes.
Yep.
You've picked Sing Sing as your film of 2024. In a few words, could you tell us what Sing Sing is about?
It's about some guys in the prison system, and they kind of use performing arts and theatre to kind of find purpose in their life, and within that they kind of gain hope as well. And it's a really empowering kind of like. It's a great movie, yeah. But yeah, it's just kind of what they go through, the feelings and the emotions that they go through while kind of like putting on these theatre productions in prison, and just like having like the what would I say, like the desire to want to leave, and also like trying to find purpose inside prison, knowing that you can't leave. So it's just they're really vulnerable in the story. I really enjoyed it. I think it's really impactful, honestly. Yeah.
And Hashi?
I think for me, the film is definitely an exploration of humanity and these inmates trying to find their humanity in prison, and trying to find personhood. And again, finding out after the film that most of the performers, I think 2 actors and Coleman Domingo,
Things like 3 people,
were actual inmates that were part of the actual program, the theatre program, and in Sing Sing, and they are everyone's outstanding in the film. I think the biggest thing for me is just the performances first and foremost from everyone involved. I think Clarence Macklin, who played Divine I, to Coleman Domingo's Divine G, was incredible, and obviously he's the one who's also getting loads of kind of awards love, which is great to see. Greg Quidar, I think he's director of the film, and I think the way the film is shot is wonderful. So great symmetrical framing throughout the film, I think, where it just gives the actors a real showcase to be the best, to give their best possible performance. It's a really, really like rewarding film to watch, because you do feel like a sense of like kind of like, for want of a better expression, to kind of like feel something for people that you wouldn't normally feel for in a way, because again, you see people in prison, you think, oh, they deserve to be there, in a sense. But again, in many cases, they've been in there for reasons which are either out of their control or because of societal kind of function or anything like that. So it's a film that has really, really stuck with me since I've watched it. And again, it wasn't very hard for me to put it as my best film of the year at all. Again, it's from start to finish. I think there's so many scenes which really make you emotional. And I think probably the last shot of the film, and as the score kind of pumps in, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it. That's how good it is.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like quite the film. It's another one that I still haven't seen yet, but I'm waiting for the right circumstances to do it, because it just seems like a really special film. How did you guys experience the film? Did you see it at a screener? Did you go to the cinema? Did you watch it at home? How do you guys both see it?
So I was invited to go see it, and I went to a screening in Soho in the morning. And
underrated watching films in the morning.
I've always loved watching films in the morning, and it was just a fantastic experience. And again, it was one of those films where like it kind of just stayed with me the whole day, and I was going to work and stuff like that. I was like, the whole time thinking about how great the film was. So,
awesome. And Mo?
I actually watched it first time on a plane.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched it on a plane because Hashi's telling me like, oh, you need to watch this movie more, you'll love it. So
where were you flying to?
I was going to New York.
No, oh, nice.
I was on my way to New York and I saw it and I was like, oh, let me watch this. So I watched it. I was like, this is great. And to be honest, it's not really a film that you need to see on the big screen. That's
more about the story.
Yeah, it's about the story. And I went home and I watched it on the TV as well, and it was great. And I was just like, wow. Really felt the same way.
If you could say one reason why this film is the best of the year, and why ultimately you guys have selected it as your film of 2024, what would it be?
I think for me personally, like there's usually most years there's at least like one film that is kind of impactful for me and that kind of like is thought provoking. So like for example, like I think 2 years ago, whatever, it was like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
That was like my definitive number one, just because of it, just because of how it made me feel. And I know like most people are saying like Dune Part 2, but for me this was the one that like had the most impact on me. Yeah, that's why I chose Sing Sing over everything else.
Nice. And Hashi?
Yeah, I think what the ideas of film were tackling, I think was probably the biggest reason. I think with anything in life, it's a meritocracy, and the film, I think, on every single level in regards to the kind of filmmaking, the storytelling, the acting, the cinematography, I think in every single metric, it kind of like ticks that box. I think there's obviously a lot of other films this year that have been bigger on a grander scale and stuff like that, but this film told a story in a small amount of time. Again, it wasn't like a very, very long film, but it just really, really landed the plane for me.
Amazing. And why would you recommend this film to people who haven't seen it yet?
Because, again, most films have kind of trained actors and have a huge budget. This film was kind of made in between Common Domingo making The Color Purple kind of thing. He's literally going in between doing The Color Purple.
He seems like quite the musical guy, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again, it kind of just shows you the kind of utility of kind of the whole production and stuff like that. And for them to kind of make a film of this kind of like scale and substance is a real achievement.
And guys, coming to the end of the questions, if you weren't talking about Sing Sing, which film would you be talking about?
I mean, for me, it's kind of a cheat. It's a 2023 film, but it came out in the UK.
Okay.
24. I would say The Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw.
Yeah.
It's a great film. And Hashi?
Again, because this film, I just can't stop talking about it. And again, it's one of those films where it's still confounding. I'm still trying to work it out. Is Red Rooms.
Red Rooms.
It's such a wild film.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a mix between horror and a thriller. And it's the most scariest non-horror film I've seen in quite a while.
Okay.
And I think the best way to describe it is you'll want to throw your phone away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm even more excited to check it out for sure. And guys, finally, looking ahead to 2025, what would you say is your number one pick, the film you're most excited to see next year in 2025?
My hero, Superman.
I'm going to clip that. My hero, Superman. And Hashi?
Paul Thomas Anderson's My Guy. So
Nice.
it's got to be his untitled film that's coming out.
Yes.
With Leonardo DiCaprio.
I really hope it does actually come out next year, because it seems like a film that's might get pushed. Who knows? But
if it doesn't come out, then I would say Ryan Coogler's Sinners.
Oh, the trailer for that looks really, really good. Yeah, that's a great pick. Well, guys, thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Awesome.
No. Everybody got here. Hi, my name's Elijah, and my chosen film of 2024 is The Wild Robot.
So Elijah, so happy to have you back on so quickly.
Thank you for having me back.
I'm going to hit you with some quick fire questions before we get talking all things The Wild Robot. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, first up, Elijah, what is your favorite color?
Emerald.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Chicken. Chicken.
What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
Japan.
What's a name that you wouldn't give your child?
Eustace.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
Russian.
Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
I can draw.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
And paint, but mainly draw.
Yeah. Nice. What is a red flag or an ick that you have about someone?
People that eat popcorn really weird.
Oh, really weird.
Yeah.
Please do elaborate.
I don't know, just they make too much noise with it.
Too much noise.
Yeah.
What is a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
Arcane.
Okay, nice. What is your favorite performance in either a film or television show of 2024?
Christina Milioti in The Penguin.
Very nice. What is your favorite cinema?
View.
Any view in particular?
Stratford.
Nice.
It's local.
Is it a local cinema to you?
Yeah.
Nice. What is the best seat in a cinema?
So 5 from the back and
Okay.
slightly towards the left of the screen.
That's an unconventional pick. Why the left?
Yeah, I don't know. The sound usually works better for me there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And is that specifically with your local view? Or
It's
in general?
In most cinemas, I go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And finally, Elijah, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
Favorite person? Gonna say my mates Jaden and Abby.
Great. So, Elijah, your favorite film of 2024, you've mentioned, is The Wild Robot. DreamWorks is The Wild Robot.
It is.
In a few words, could you tell us what The Wild Robot is about?
Sure. So the legendary Chris Saunders, the director of How to Train Your Dragon and other amazing Pixar and DreamWorks movies, is back directing and writing this one. It's a story of Roz, a robot that gets, I guess, stranded on an island. Roz's primary function is to help and to ensure that all her users are satisfied with their care. Similar to Baymax, but a little bit more as a service robot than a medical robot. So she meets a gosling, Brightbill, and she is thrust into taking care of Brightbill. It's a story about finding your place in the world, motherhood, and found family.
Awesome. That is a great summary of the film. The film is great for a lot of different reasons, but also is an incredibly emotional film.
Mm-hmm.
Did the film get you in your feels?
It did.
It did indeed. Any particular moments?
I think everyone would say the I Could Use a Boost scene.
Yeah.
That was definitely up there.
Great
but
music as well.
For me, it was more the scene where the badger gives Roz the wooden leg. That caught me out because it's like, that's the one person that was outcast from an already outcast world, resonating with someone who is outcast. Usually you'd want to stick to yourself, but he's actually helping the one person that he shouldn't help to fit in. And I just thought that was really like well done and emotional.
Definitely. And with the first time you watched The Wild Robot, was it at your local view or was it somewhere else?
It was at the London Film Festival.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I did have tickets to that, but I gave that to Flynn because I couldn't make it because I went to see another film. But yeah, I heard it was
yeah,
I know. We briefly touched on the emotion of this film. There are a couple of huge standout films from 2024, and of course The Wild Robot definitely stands amongst them. But what about this film specifically connected with you that made you put it above the others?
I think it was very unexpected. This year has been full of sequels and remakes, and obviously the top 10 of the year are probably all sequels and remakes. But the thing that stood out for me is, I didn't expect it to hit that well. The emotional beats could seem very predictable and cliche, but they're also done in a way that's not condescending. You're able to relate and resonate with them either as a kid or as an adult. It doesn't shy away from really harsh, grim topics like, I don't know, the climate crisis right now or death. It doesn't shy away from those, but it does it in a way that doesn't alienate you from those experiences. It makes you feel responsible for your part in your responsibility in making the world a better place without necessarily like thrusting it on you, you know?
And animation, of course, you're a big fan of.
I am.
What are some of your other favorite animated films? We spoke briefly about this in our episode,
Obviously,
but just for those who haven't.
For sure. Obviously, the Lion King, Into the Spider-Verse, I think that changed a lot of the way we view animation. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, obviously Arcane. Another comfort film of mine is Big Hero 6. Yeah, very big animation guy.
Awesome. And it seems like DreamWorks are somewhat on a bit of a run recently with films like Puss in Boots and now, of course, The Wild Robot. Shrek 5's coming up. How are you feeling about that?
I didn't enjoy Shrek 4.
Yep.
So I think that probably would have been a good place to end the franchise.
Leave it, yep.
But I don't know. It's still Shrek.
And with regards to The Wild Robot, to people who haven't seen the film, say people who aren't necessarily interested in the animation genre or sort of just, discard it and aren't really interested and view animation as almost like this idea that these films are for kids.
Okay.
What would you say to someone to try and convince them that they should see The Wild Robot?
Okay. Yeah, I think it transcends regular animation. It's not like your Rapunzel. Not that these are not good movies, but it's not like a traditional Rapunzel, which is obviously made for a younger audience, or Moana, for example. It's a film that uses animation to elevate and talk about story beats that usually would be too grim in a live action setting. But for people that are mothers, people that are fathers, people that are carers, people that have genuinely been lost in the world and have had to fight for their place and where they stand in either social circles, work circles, or just general life, people that have lost a parent, people that have found a parent. It's the kind of film that bridges all those gaps together in a really beautiful way. It makes you feel responsible for how you make connection. It makes you feel responsible for the people around you. And the music's beautiful. Chris Bowers, I don't know, he needs an Oscar for this score because it blends the colors and the crescendo of it all at the end. Everything comes together really well. The colors, the lighting, it's all animation, yeah, sure, but it's just blended so well together that you kind of forget you're watching an animated movie. And one thing about the animation as well, it's used in such a creative way. At the beginning of the film, Roz looks very hard, harsh CGI. If she feels so planted into this world, which is obviously watercolor and painted. But by the end of the film, Roz has a lot more watercolor in her CG that she doesn't feel as out of place. And it's something that naturally wouldn't affect you that much. But because of the story, that being used as a storytelling device makes it that much better. So I think for just the sake of enjoying a good story, I'd say you watch it. And if you love animation, these kind of details would make you love the film even more.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that last detail, but yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show how sort of invested I was in the story as a whole. Yeah, it's great. How many times have you seen the film?
10.
What? Are you serious? Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, 10.
10 times. Wow.
3 times on the big screen and then at home.
Oh my goodness.
Times, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, Elijah. I'm also curious to know, besides The Wild Robot, if you weren't talking about The Wild Robot, what's another film that you would be talking about on this couch?
I'm going to sound like such a big kid, but Transformers 1.
Yeah. It's been a good year for animation.
It's been a great year for animation.
Yeah, Transformers 1. Do you feel like Transformers 1 is potentially the best Transformers film we've had?
It is the best Transformers story we've had. Yes. I feel like it would have benefited from, a different kind of CG, but it doesn't take away from anything. I think it's still the best Transformers story we've had. Yeah.
What's the other Transformers film you feel like it's that you would put sort of on the same level? Or do you have a soft spot for
I don't know
Michael
if anyone
Bay?
would agree with me, but Bumblebee.
I think
Bumblebee's up there.
I love Bumblebee. Yeah. It's kind of like Transformers meets E.T. and it's cool. It's sweet. I really like Bumblebee as well. And finally, Elijah, looking ahead to 2025, got a lot of exciting films coming out next year. Mm-hmm. But which film are you most excited for to see next year?
Next year? It's going to be another animation. I'm joking.
It would be completely fine if it was. Yeah.
No, it's Mission Impossible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fun,
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much, Elijah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, that was sick.
Hello, my name's Movie Comic Junkie, and my chosen film of 2024 is Nosferatu.
Okay, Mr. Movie Comic Junkie. I'm going to throw you some quickfire questions. How do you feel about that?
Let's do this.
Awesome. So, straight up, what is your favorite color?
Black.
Very suited to this film. You're very on the What is your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Okay, it would have been really weird if you said winter there. What's your favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
You'll like this, New Zealand.
I wonder why. What's a name that you would not give your child?
Mortimer. What are we doing?
Mortimer? Do you know a Mortimer?
I don't know a Mortimer. Thank God.
Mortimer. If you could speak another language, what would it be?
I'm on my 5th attempt at Duolingo Spanish, so Spanish.
Very nice, very nice. Do you have a hidden talent, and if so, what is it?
It's a secret.
It's a secret?
Yeah.
Can you tell me after the episode?
Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Fantastic. What is a red flag or an ick that you have?
If you watch too much anime.
Okay.
Just too much. If you're too much of a weeb. No, it's all right. You're all right. Just about.
What is a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
Does it have to be a 2024 release? Or
No, it doesn't. No.
Okay, then Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the
Unreal.
Vampire Slayer. Again, on the vampire theme, you know.
Yeah.
What is your favorite performance, film or television, in 2024?
I think Coleman Domingo was operating on a whole other level in Sing Sing.
Very, very nice. Very nice. What is your favorite cinema?
A Cineworld.
Any Cineworld in particular?
No, just Cineworld.
Just Cineworld?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Do you like them better after they renovated after COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They took it to the whole new level,
really
right? What is the best seat in a cinema?
5 rows from the front in the middle.
Very nice, very nice. And finally, Sandy, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema
Myself. Just
you,
me.
yourself, and I.
Just me.
Awesome. Going to the
my
cinema.
feelings in a cinema.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, going to the cinema by yourself is so underrated.
Yeah.
It's just
It's a special
very,
experience.
It is
You
indeed.
guys should try it more.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. Well, Mr. Movie Comic Junkie, you have selected Robert Eggers' Nosferatu as your film of 2024. I have not yet seen this film. So, in a few words, could you tell us what the film is about?
Sure, and this is not going to be a few words, by the way. So, in 1922, a German director by the name of F.W. Murnau created a silent expressionist film called Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. It was an unofficial and unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula, and it was something of a quaint indie flick at the time, but has since gone on to become a somewhat foundational pillar of horror cinema, specifically the vampire subgenre. And now, over 100 years later, Robert Eggers, who I believe is the greatest working horror director today, has turned his attention to it, and it was insane. It's basically the Dracula story, but substitute Count Dracula for Count Orlok.
Right.
Insane.
That is quite an intro. And you're only getting me even more excited to see the film come the new year.
That's the idea.
It is indeed. Tell me a little bit about how you experienced Nosferatu for the first time, the Robert Eggers version, and whether you watched the original ahead of it, in prep for it. Tell me about this journey.
Yeah, so I watched the original last year-ish, something like that. And then the actual film, so I was lucky enough to see it early. It was a very cool experience. It was at a picture house in London, central London. And it was just really cool because I was there with a bunch of other people who were just nerds for this thing.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I was there with Seth's Film Reviews, I don't know if you know, and a couple other people. It was just awesome. Yeah.
Sick. And by the way, you're already speaking about him. You are a big Robert Eggers fan.
Massive Robert Eggers fan.
Would you say Nosferatu is his best film yet, or do you still think there's another that holds that spot for you?
I think, if you guys have seen it, The Witch, a New England Folktale, is the best thing Robert Eggers has done.
Very nice.
I think Nosferatu's on par with something like The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. As in, it's very good.
And what do you think about The Northman, very quickly?
I don't love it.
Okay.
I don't think it sucks by any means. I don't think Robert Eggers has made a bad film, but yeah.
Yeah. He is one of those directors who just keeps somehow coming up with straight bangers. So overall, Sandy, just plain and simple, why have you picked this film?
I think there's a touch of destiny about it. There's something special about it. It's been over 100 years since the original. Yeah. And now it's just, and a filmmaker like Robert Eggers tackling something as monumental as Nosferatu. It's remarkable. And the original film went through so much legal trouble to be made in the first place. And then when Dracula came out in, I think, 1932 with Bela Lugosi, it was great, but it paled in comparison to the original. And now it's just, I love seeing how this film has grown and become such an icon in and of itself. And now Robert Eggers has just pushed it to a whole other level. I love it.
Yeah. It definitely seems like the kind of natural step in his filmography. You know, your director who has horror roots and taking this iconic story, bringing it to life with his own vision. Can you talk a little bit about the cast and what you feel they brought to those roles? Yeah,
so Nicholas Hoult, he's been having an incredible year, and he's going to continue to have an incredible year next year, by the way. There was just, I think the thing with Nosferatu, with Count Orlok, is it's the way the people around him interact in his presence that makes him such a great presence. So he's incredibly intimidating. They do some great voice editing and audio editing around his voice, but it's the way, there was a scene where Nicholas Hoult just goes from sort of awkwardness and shyness to just pure terror while in the presence of Count Orlok. And I think it wasn't just him, it was also Emma Corrin, it was Aaron Taylor-Johnson, it was Lily Rose Depp, just Willem Dafoe. This film's packed, It's incredible. It's just, like, everyone was just delivering at the absolute top of their game. It was unreal, yeah.
And Robert Eggers is, he's no stranger to creating these really standout visuals that stick with you. What are some of the most notable visual elements that Nosferatu brings?
Oh, okay. I think there's some very, very trippy editing, especially in the run-up to meeting Count Orlok for the very first time. There's the carriage ride up to his castle. There's some incredible sort of just very trippy, very surreal, supernatural visuals. It preps you, it primes you to meet Count Orlok, but then nothing can prime you for Count Orlok because he's something else. Yeah.
Would you say Count Orlok, with regards to the entire year, probably up there with the very best villains?
Oh, 100%. The guy is like it's incredible. He's like the devil. He's hell on earth. It's remarkable.
Yeah, and Bill Skarsgård, of course.
And Bill Skarsgård, obviously.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Sandy, you have simply nerded out about this film for the past 2-3 minutes, unapologetically, and as you should. How would you, or why would you recommend this to someone who hasn't seen Nosferatu? Why would you push them to go see this, specifically as well, in the cinemas?
Because vampires are back. Right, here's the thing, okay? Look, the vampire genre is so massive, and it can go from like either you're the brother of the devil on earth, or you're like sparkly Edward Cullen. Like, we love it, okay? There's a massive range, but I feel like vampires have lost their sort of like their terrifying nature as of late. And this guy is just, there's nothing about him you could love. Like, he is literally just evil personified. And if you guys just want to see just evil personified back on screen, I think this is the film to see. And just Robert Eggers, the visuals, like it has to be, the audio, it just has to be on a big screen, 100%. Yeah,
definitely. Will you be seeing it again?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
100%.
okay, interesting. Well, you've sold, I mean, I was already sold, but you sold me even more somehow. But besides Nosferatu, Sandy, if you weren't talking about Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, which film from 2024 would you be talking about?
I'd be talking about The Wild Robot. I was in tears. I was crying. Ugly crying in a cinema full of children. And I'll do it again. And I'll never stop.
Very nice, very nice. And finally, Sandy, which film of 2025 would you say you are most excited for?
Next year, the most iconic superhero of all time is returning to the big screen. Okay, and he's going to be exactly what he's meant to be. He's going to be a symbol for humanity to look towards. James Gunn's bringing Superman back next year.
There we go. Well, that is a wrap with you, Mr. Movie Comic Junkie. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna go check out Nosferatu now. Sick.
Let's do it.
Awesome. That was sick, man. Well done.
Hi guys. No, I'm joking. Hi guys, my name is Clara and my chosen film of 2024 is Anora.
Hi, Clara.
Hey.
Okay, don't look so pleased. You've picked Anora. Definitely one of the standout films of 2024. But before we get talking about Anora, I'm going to throw you some quickfire questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, straight up. What's your favorite color?
Green.
What's your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
I don't know, cheese?
Oh, please don't. Cheese?
What if there's no cheese on a pizza? It's a bit shit.
Oh my God. What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
Probably Indonesia.
What's a name that you would not give your child?
Gertrude.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
I feel like I'm not going to go something European because I could learn that, so I'll go like Mandarin.
Do you have a hidden talent, and if so, what is it?
I don't think I really have a hidden talent.
You don't?
No.
You're an artist.
It was not really hidden.
Technically it's hidden. What's a red flag or an ick that you have?
People that don't like chocolate.
Does anyone know anyone who doesn't like chocolate? No?
Interesting. What would we do?
What's a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
Arcane.
What is your favorite performance, film or TV, in 2024?
I feel like it's a bit of an obvious one, but I'm going Cynthia Erivo for Wicked because I just thought she really made that film what it was.
There you go. That's a good pick. What is your favorite cinema?
Everyman Hampstead.
What is the best seat in a cinema?
I like going towards the front in the middle.
And finally, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
Dylan.
And that's a wrap, guys. Okay, Clara. So you've picked Anora, Sean Baker's Anora, as your film of 2024. In a few words, can you tell us what Anora is about?
Anora is about a young woman who works in a strip club and it does sort of some sex work as well. And she meets a sort of young man with a lot of money and he pays her to be his girlfriend for a short period of time. And it's sort of about their relationship and whether they can sort of make it work in this sort of in a respectful way or whether that breaks down and when his family get involved, like what happens then.
Tell me a little bit about when you first watched this film. What were the circumstances under which you watched the film?
So it was date night. I really wanted to see this film. Everyone had been like raving about it, but I in that exact day, I was like ready for a chill film. I was ready for a nice date night. I was like, okay, we're going to be watching a film about a sex worker and it's all going to go wrong and it's just going to be like horrific. And this film, although it delves into some really deep things, is sort of very, it does it very gently and with a lot of care. And it was I had a lovely time and it was a really nice evening.
Why is Anora your film of 2024? What about it stood out to you?
I guess I feel like a lot of films at the moment, they want to do the most. So they want to make something as out there, as violent, as sort of extreme as possible. Or just, I think a lot of things, you quite go like very nasty. And I quite like the fact that although it was discussing something so deep, deep and what most people see as a very taboo subject, it did it with a lot of like gentle care. And it really cared about the characters. And I didn't feel like anyone there was overtly, although everyone got mixed up and there was a lot of struggles and a lot of power dynamics, like no one was overtly trying to be horrible and cruel, and they didn't take it to a place of like, I think I quite appreciate it. I feel like a lot of films I'm seeing recently often want to go as far as possible. And it was quite nice to see something that was so interesting and so affecting that didn't have to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. A lot of people have referred to it as a sort of twisted Cinderella story of sorts.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's pretty evident by watching Sean Baker is, he's never a kind of black or his ending specifically are never sort of black or white. I think the ending for Anora is one of the most kind of emotionally hard-hitting endings of a film this year, I would say. What about this film connected with you emotionally or thematically? Yeah, what did you see in the film that kind of resonated with you?
I guess this is a film for a lot of people that seems very hard to relate to.
Yeah.
Lots of people don't experience this kind of thing. But I think on the face of it, it was about sort of every relationship is somewhat transactional. And obviously this one is to the extreme. But sort of what happens when you sort of enter into a relationship that is very transactional and there is this huge power dynamic, and what that means for each person and what that means when you enter into a relationship that has what you thought was respect and then it's not there anymore. And I think that's sort of Anora's journey really, is although she knows that relationship is fundamentally transactional, she felt like she had respect. It was sort of her slowly realising, that wasn't there. And I think that is something that a lot of people can relate to, and lots of not necessarily romantic relationships, but different relationships in their life, and it's sort of how that affects you and sort of where respect comes from, because there is like a few beautiful moments in the film where she sort of feels seen or gets a lot of respect from other characters, and those are some of the most like emotionally hard-hitting moments. You were talking about the character feeling seen and sort of that aspect. What do you think about Mikey Madison in this film? And I think her performance is really brilliant. She's not the only I understand all the Oscar buzz around her. But she was amazing. But I don't think she was the only great performance in that film.
No.
I thought her co-star was amazing. I also thought, and I sadly don't know the actors' names, but sort of the bodyguards and Igor. I thought they were brilliant. I thought the film was funnier than I expected.
Yeah.
Much funnier than I expected, and just and I thought the comic timing of some of them was just basic.
Yeah, the film was surprisingly just hilarious.
Yeah.
Right the way through, which I certainly didn't expect either. Why would you recommend this film to someone who hasn't seen Anora?
For a lot of reasons I've just said, but that it's like a very interesting, very gentle story, but about a very taboo topic. But also, it's really funny. It's a good time as well as being very emotionally hard hitting.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I mean, maybe not for everyone because of the subject matter, but...
Yeah, don't take your kids.
Yeah, definitely.
And getting on to the last couple of questions, Clara. If you weren't talking about Anora, what film from 2024 would you be talking about?
Well, everyone's going to say Dune. But Conclave, I really enjoyed Conclave. I thought the performances were great. I found it interesting and kept me on the edge of my seat, so yeah.
Good stuff. And final question, Clara. Which film in 2025 are you most excited for?
Mickey 17.
Mickey 17, Bong Joon-ho. Well, there you have it, guys. That's it. Okay. Okay, is that rolling? Rolling.
Hi, my name is Panwa, and my chosen film is Dune Part 2.
Hello, Panwa.
Hello.
Greetings. Familiar face?
Yes.
So glad this year you could actually be in person joining us for the season finale. You've got a big responsibility ahead of you, no pressure.
Yep.
But before we get on into that big film, I'm going to hit you with some quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Steady.
Fantastic. What is your favorite color?
Let's go with green.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Spring.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Domino's Meteor.
What's a country you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
I am excited to go to Brazil.
What's a name that you wouldn't give your child?
Dylan.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
It'll be Mandarin.
Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
I reign supreme on the Popcorn Podcast film quizzes. Challenge me.
What's a red flag or an ick that you might have about someone?
I don't like people who don't keep their word.
Oh. Any indirects there?
No. Just generally, yeah.
That was so much more ominous then. What is a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
So Ripley, Netflix show with Andrew Scott. Yeah. I think has the best black and white cinematography of the century, basically.
Wow.
Robert Elswit, yeah.
Wow.
Shogun's great too.
We haven't seen it yet.
No, I've not seen it.
We haven't seen it yet. Would you argue Nosferatu?
I haven't seen Ripley.
Okay.
Really beautiful. Just watch it on mute.
What is your favorite performance in a film or TV show 2024?
Well, I think Anora is Mikey Madison. I think that film doesn't exist if it was a different actor.
Yep.
So probably her, but shout out as well to Hemsworth, who's had a fantastic year. And I thought Furiosa, he was really good in Furiosa with his ginger beard.
He was indeed. Furiosa is a film that, I feel like should definitely get a shout out with this list as well. I think it's 100%. super underrated, and it just seems to have kind of gone under the radar for a lot of people. But moving on with the quickfire questions, what is your favorite cinema to watch films in?
The SFX Cinema in Phuket, Thailand. It was my first ever cinema trip. I went to watch Return of the King, actually. It was my first ever film, and have since done Barbenheimer there and all the rest. So, yeah, love that one.
What is the best seat in a cinema?
The one next to mine. Ciao.
And who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
It'll be my buddy Elwood. Every film I've watched with that guy has been a banger.
Very nice. Thank you for that, Panwa. That was great to hear. We've got a big film that we're about to talk about. Not arguably, it is just the film that I would say most people here wanted to speak about, including myself. But as a host, I can't. I've got to give guests first option here.
Great honor.
We are, of course, talking about Dune Part 2, Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. How would you summarize Dune Part 2 for anyone who's been living under a rock?
And it follows a young man whose family gets massacred, and he journeys through the desert to get revenge on a bunch of Vin Diesel-looking variants. So that's Dune Part 2. I'm
going to try not to follow exactly the same structure as I have for everyone because it's such a compact film here, but talk about Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2 to me is not only my favorite film of the year, as it is many people's favorite film of the year, but one of the best films of the decade. Because for me, it was the only film I saw this year that truly had me in awe. And there have been so many fantastic films that have come out this year, and none have had my jaw on the floor so much as Denis Villeneuve's cinematic masterpiece. Because I do truly feel that this is one that exists independent of the year and the times in which it was made in. This is a film that 100 years ago people would have watched and have been in awe of, and people 100 years from now will come back on this and be amazed by the achievement that they have accomplished here. The film is an epic on every level and has already been compared to the likes of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, and all the rest, and I think deservedly so, because Denis has clearly an understanding of film that so few filmmakers have nowadays. This is someone who knows the medium back to front, but also loves it with all his heart, and that love and that passion and the patience that he has is so evident in this film and all of his films. But I think the reason so many have said that this is the crowning achievement of his career is because Dune is his dream film that he has been wanting to make since he was a child. And part 2 is, the culmination of that first story of Herbert's first novel. And it is an epic culmination, and it is an epic in every sense of the word. Not to say that the film has no intimacy or no, density, because of course it does. It is amongst the most intelligent films that has been made, and certainly one of the most intelligent epics. And I think that's probably one of the things that people separates it, between Star Wars and all the rest. And for me, the biggest compliment that I could give to this film is the universality. Why do we all love films? Because it brings us together and it makes us understand one another better. This is a film that a 9-year-old could watch and love, and a 99-year-old could watch and love. And this is a film that, more than any other I've seen this year, is the kind of film that will make filmmakers, that will make kids go, oh, movie good. I want to make movie. And that will have them looking up on the big screen and go, this is the magic of cinema. Yeah. This is the reason, Scorsese watched the works of Kurosawa and David Lean or Orson Welles and went, I want to make movies. This is the reason that Spielberg, watches Star Wars and, the works of Akira Kurosawa, Sergio Leone with Tarantino. This is the movie that creates future filmmakers. And certainly I think with many people in this room, as well as other filmmakers out there, watching Dune Part 2 will make them go, oh my God, I want to make movies now. And that was the only film this year that made me want to pick up a camera and get to work. So that is why I love Dune Part 2.
Well, speaking of picking up a camera and getting to work, I think the pair of us had an incredible experience, not just with this film, but in a lot of ways. To put it simply, we had a crazy adventure traveling to the Middle East, to Jordan, where the likes of Dune and Lawrence of Arabia and The Martian were all shot. We went to Wadi Rum. The locations that we shot there were similar to the ones in Dune. Can you talk a little bit about how that experience, as well as something like going and seeing Denis Villeneuve talk at the BFI?
Yeah.
How did that enhance or boost your, experience with this film and just in general as a human?
Getting to see Denis talk, him talk was fantastic, and I think one of my favorite of his philosophies is that he has said publicly on many occasions that one day he wants to make a movie with no talking. That he wants the the visuals and the sound and the music to sort of help tell the story, and I think that is why we love films, and that is film in its purest form, because you don't go and listen to a film, you don't go and smell a film, you go and watch a film. And so the importance of the visuals and the visual storytelling is something that's important to him, and something that obviously we certainly relate to very much. And so obviously when we got to go to Jordan and basically travel to another world, it was a life-changing trip. And to anyone who hasn't been, it will change your life. To step out of this hotel room, which is like a weird tent in the desert, and just look around and see every movie you've ever loved. 360 view with the breeze of the morning and the sun and the camels walking by, and you may as well throw a couple spaceships and explosions in there, because it was truly a life-changing experience. And as a film fan, as a filmmaker, it is a dream come true. And to be able to follow in the footsteps of those legends and input our little bit of our contribution to it was The
film has sort of taken on a life of its own and has become an instant classic. It's become instantly iconic. What were some of those standout moments for you?
Just honestly, from the first scene where the Harkonnen soldiers kind of levitated onto the rock, you're in safe hands, right? But throughout, there are consistent moments of just cinematicness peppered through, where the Chalamet and Zendaya kissing for the first time by the sands, being shot at sunrise for sunset, and how so much of the movie was shot at critical lights and hours, which meant everything was more expensive, everything was more difficult, but because it looked good and it was for the love of films. The fact that $200 million film funded by a big studio did a significant chunk in black and white, with the Austin Butler Coliseum fight, the music by Hans Zimmer, the Greg Fraser cinematography. Everything I've ever said has already been said better by better people. But yeah, just the entire thing was just magnificent. The fact that they had a worm unit shooting sandworm scenes. Wow.
Yeah. So Messiah obviously naturally is a film that, we're all going to be excited for. There was recent news that obviously Greg Fraser is now shooting the Batman 2. He's not shooting Dune Messiah, and instead Linus Sandgren is going to step up into that. What do you think about that?
So excited. I think he's one of the best. La La Land, No Time to Die, Babylon, enough said.
To anyone who hasn't seen even the first Dune film, where are the main differences you see between these films and other huge sci-fi franchises? What is it about Dune specifically, the story, you think is different and special?
Maturity.
Okay.
I think that, despite the fact that I said kids would enjoy this film, I think, Star Wars, you probably enjoy it more if you're a kid, or you see the Ride of the Rohirrim. It's more cool. But, I think that this is a science fiction epic for adults, and I think that there is a lot more intellect and a lot more to think about, and it's a lot more complex than your average epic, which I think is the big different point, the big selling factor, I guess. Of Dune.
Well, that is a great summary of the film. I do want to look ahead to 2025, though, because we've got an exciting year for films.
Certainly.
You messaged me the other day because you were having quite a dilemma trying to see which film of 2025 you were most excited for. Go for it. Take it away.
Just to sort of say something that other people have yet to say, I would probably just throw in F1 by Joseph Kosinski with Brad Pitt and Damson Idris and others. That would just be awesome. Yeah. It's the Top Gun team.
If it's anything like Maverick,
exactly, it is indeed. F1.
Yes.
For real.
Yes.
Actual F1 drivers. That's going to be brilliant.
Yes.
So
thank you, Panwa.
Thank you very much for having me. Cheers.
Okay. Hello, guys. My name is Dylan. I'm the creator and host of the Popcorn Podcast, and my chosen film of 2024 is Coralie Fargeau's The Substance.
So, Dylan, you have heard the quickfire questions from a number of people now, so let's go with yours, and you can answer some of them for us. What is your favorite color?
Red.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Spring.
What is your favorite pizza topping?
Just straight pepperoni.
What's a country that you haven't been to yet but want to visit?
I really want to go to Japan.
What's a name that you would not give your child?
The name I would not give my child is Ian. I can't imagine looking at a baby and calling them Ian. I apologize to all the Ians out there.
If you could speak another language, what would it be?
French, fluently, I'd say, yeah.
Do you have a hidden talent? And if so, what is it?
I can guess the tennis player by the sound of their grunt.
What's a red flag or an ick that you have?
I don't actually, don't really know, to be honest. Someone who doesn't like Top Gun Maverick.
In other words, someone who doesn't like fun.
Yes.
What's a TV show that you've been watching in 2024?
I really have not been watching many TV shows this year, so I'm really trying to think. House of the Dragon Season 2, I watched that.
What is your favorite performance in film or TV in 2024?
Ooh, that's a good question. A lot of great performances, but one that seemingly has gone overlooked this year that I do want to give a special shout out to is Naomi Scott in Smile 2.
Ooh, good choice. What's your favorite cinema?
My favorite cinema has to be the IMAX at Leicester Square. It's been where I've been watching all my films since I was a very young age, and I still go there as kind of a tradition. So, yeah.
What's the best seat in a cinema?
It depends on the screening itself. If it's an IMAX screening, a little bit sort of mid to back middle. But if it's a normal screening, I would say row sort of C or D right in the middle.
Fantastic. Now, who is your favorite person to go to the cinema with?
My favorite person to go to the cinema with is Clara, I would say.
Fantastic. Now, on to your film. In a few words, tell us what your film is about.
Oh gosh, The Substance. So The Substance is a sort of Cronenbergian body horror, fantasy, drama. Apparently it's a comedy according to the Golden Globes, that follows a character named Elizabeth Sparkle, who is a fading Hollywood star and who is now a sort of fitness TV icon, and she's played by Demi Moore. And Elizabeth Sparkle comes across this product called The Substance, which is a cell duplicating black market drug that essentially births a younger, more beautiful, better version of yourself. And this younger, more beautiful, better version of Elizabeth Sparkle takes the shape of Sue, played by Margaret Qualley. The only rule here with the use of the substance is each body gets 7 days. So Demi Moore is on for 7 days, whilst Margaret Qualley is reduced to a sort of sleep-like coma, and then vice versa. When Margaret Qualley, Sue, is alive and animated, Demi Moore is in a coma. And the problems start coming when the two of them start battling for more time, specifically Sue, who feels like she wants to spend more time in this body, and that only means disastrous and devastating consequences for both of them. So that is technically a general synopsis of the substance. Yeah.
Talk to us about how you experience it in a film.
I first watched The Substance. Well, I had heard a little bit about it because I think it had won the Best Screenplay Award at Cannes. And I was pretty quick to seeing it when it came out in the cinemas in the UK. I watched it at the Everyman in King's Cross with Clara on a sort of date night. It was a fun date night, in all honesty. And then after seeing it, the film really left an impression on me, so I had to see it again. I went with my friend Isaac, who I love going to the movies with, and I just had to get his sort of take on it. So yeah.
Okay, so why have you picked this film?
Where do I start with this one? I think The Substance, for me, in a lot of ways, kind of represents one of the biggest aspects of why I love just movies and cinema in general. And it's just kind of the discovery of a new story, or in this case, a new experience. And no other film in 2024, or in all honesty, that I can remember, has been quite like The Substance. It is one of the most bold and audacious pictures I've seen in quite some time. Coralie Farjar, who directed the film, is one of the most bold and fearless filmmakers we definitely have in the industry today. She's quite similar to another French filmmaker called Julia Ducournau, who did other body horror films called like Raw and Titan. And I absolutely loved everything about The Substance. I think, just as someone who is a big fan of horror, and looking back on 2024 and what a great year it's been for horror, this film definitely stands out to me for being amongst the best, but also really demonstrating why horror cinema is the most visceral, of genres. A lot of people who I've spoken to who haven't been that big of a fan of The Substance have said, they haven't really liked the film because, it's not subtle. It's really, they get the point very, very early on. And sure, you do kind of get the point early on. A film about obsession and, self-destruction and self-worth and, drug use, it's only going to end one way. But yet, you are still riveted and you are still compelled to go on this journey with this character, even though where you might know where it's going to lead. The film has no interest in being subtle, and that's kind of the point. And I don't know when we started to look at films and think subtlety equates to great films. If a film is in your face, so be it. And this film is definitely in your face. It is kind of a full attack on your soul. That's what it feels like at some points. It has got some incredible performances from Demi Moore, who I've seen before in previous films in kind of the 80s and 90s genre. And, this is kind of a career sort of comeback for her. And she's absolutely fantastic. So is Margaret Qualley. And even Dennis Quaid, who's in the film sporadically here and there. I said this, I remember saying this on Letterboxd, but he kind of has the most disturbing eating scene in a film since like Denethor in Return of the King. He's a vile character, and the film is just, it's so playful, it's so fun, and in the third act it descends into complete, melodrama and complete off the rails body horror, and that is surely going to turn a lot of people off. But I kind of loved it, and I think all in all, messages aside, you get the message very early on, but it's just a riveting piece of cinema. I think I just had such a blast watching it, and that's why I'm talking to you about it right now. So
So how did you connect with this film emotionally, thematically, or any personal connections with The Substance?
Well, I mean, the film is about a lot of different things. Like I mentioned before, it's about kind of, self-worth and, aging. It looks specifically at, these impossible beauty standards that are placed specifically upon women, and kind of this quest to obtain the unobtainable, I would say. And luckily, I would say I'm sort of relieved that I currently don't I'm not relating to any of those thematic beats, right now. I'm not losing sleep over this. But all in all, I think I would be lying if I didn't say all these kind of different themes that the film tackles, self-worth, beauty standards, the male gaze, and toxic masculinity to a certain extent are all incredibly relevant themes as well. So at the very least for me, this was such a fascinating film to just sit through and watch. And I think one of the things I really appreciated about the film is, yes, it does have all these societal and somewhat political ideas in there, but it never once feels preachy, and it never alienates you as a viewer. It is always about the art and the experience of watching this character go on this, crazy journey. And yeah, I loved it.
Now, for those people who haven't seen the film, why would you recommend it?
Well, I think it's important to say that I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. I think, if you're not a fan of horror, specifically body horror, I know Amy's still yet to come over get into the horror genre. I wouldn't recommend this at all. It is an incredibly violent film. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. The film made me gasp, it made me squirm, it made me wince. All sorts of noises were coming out of my mouth whilst I was watching this film. So it is definitely not for the faint of heart. So that's, I think, important to acknowledge that I wouldn't be recommending this film to everybody and anybody. But for those of you who, are kind of getting into horror or are horror fans yourself, or even someone who is looking for a new experience with films, if you're a bit kind of fed up with the same narratives, the same styles of filmmaking that we have, nowadays, this film stands out as kind of one of the ones that completely put you in a new experience. It is definitely inspired, Coralie Forger is definitely a filmmaker who's inspired by the likes of David Cronenberg and Stanley Kubrick. There are a lot of shining references in the film, but it also manages to stand on its own 2 feet. And I think it's a pulse-pounding just piece of it's really nasty, but I mean that in a good way. So if you don't mind feeling a little uncomfortable and a little bit off-kiltered, definitely recommend checking out The Substance.
So, if you weren't talking about this film from 2024, which film of the year would you be talking about?
Which film would I be talking about? Well, I mean, loads of people have probably said this already, but of course, my number one film of 2024 is, like many, Dune Part 2. Thank you, Panwa, for covering that. But if I wasn't talking about Dune Part 2 and I looked at everybody's picks of this list, I really, really enjoyed Smile 2. I seem to be somewhat a little bit in the minority here, but I think that film just completely blows its predecessor out of the water. Like I said before, Naomi Scott, I think she gives one of the great horror performances maybe of the decade or something like that, something crazy. I had such a blast with watching Smile 2. It's by no means the best film of the year, but just a film I kind of want to give a little shout out to. So yeah.
And finally,
yep.
Which film are you most excited for the next year, 2025?
Ooh, to be completely honest, I haven't been looking that ahead to 2025 like I do with most years. But it does seem like if 2024 was the year of horror films, I think 2025 is kind of looking like the year for blockbusters. We've got a wide variety of blockbusters here, but if I had to say, I mean, it's hard not to say something like Superman Legacy after seeing that first trailer. I think it's really DC's time to kind of come in and sort of take over a little bit, so to speak. I'm really excited to see Tron Ares. Tron Legacy, I think, is a film that was way ahead of its time, and it's incredible. I think that film is so underrated. Jurassic World Rebirth. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Jurassic World trilogy all in all, but this film, this film changed my life, so I'll always be excited to see any Jurassic Park or Jurassic World related property. And of course, I couldn't leave out James Cameron's Avatar 3, Avatar Fire and Ash. I do really enjoy going to see those films just because of the spectacle of it. And, Avatar 2, for me, in my opinion, kind of did live up to the hype. I really enjoyed that film. And Avatar 3, I'm excited to explore a new side of Pandora, a new element, so to speak. So, those are a sort of handful of films.
Karate Kid Legends.
Karate Kid Legends looks fun as well. I'm excited to see both masters. I actually think Karate Kid, the Jaden Smith version, is quite fun. I know it gets a lot of shit.
They need to bring Cheng back.
Yeah, they need to bring Cheng so he can kick everyone's ass.
Absolute monster.
And this guy.
And the Mohawk guy.
And the Mohawk guy. Yeah. But yeah.
And that, Dylan, concludes your time on the couch.
Thank you very much, Panwa. And that is a wrap, guys. Those are our 10 slots of 2024, a year in film. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this epic season 2 finale. It's great. It's been great speaking with you, not just today, but of course, over the course of the past kind of 12 months. The podcast family has grown, and we look forward to seeing what 2025 brings. Thank you all again, once again, everyone. And thank you to everyone who's watching and listening. And we will catch you all very soon in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers. Okay, and that's a wrap. Thank you, guys.